This press conference has been called for the Community Justice Coalition, which is a grouping of civic-minded and religious leadership that has come together for several years to support the office of the Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner. We will have a prepared statement, as I made mention, that we're waiting for it to arrive. But in the interim, we will have some remarks from some of the coalition members as relates to our position on the concerted attack upon the office of the Circuit Attorney. My name is Zaki Baruti, and I chair this coalition. So our first presenter, and I'm asking everyone to keep their remarks to 3 minutes, and then we will field questions from the press. Our first presenter is Amir Brandy. He's with Real STL News as well as the Peacekeepers. Amir.
Good morning, media.
Good morning.
My name is Amir Brandy. I represent a number of different faces here today, but the one that I want to talk about most importantly is the media, the responsibility of media. It is very disturbing to see our media platform be used by those racist politicians and legislators in Jefferson City to condemn the good work of our circuit attorney without investigating, reporting false information to the public that rely on you to be responsible in your investigation and your integrity. It is very disturbing to know that you are not accurately reporting information that pertains to this office and the works of it. We traveled to Jeff City yesterday, and the chair admitted that it is your report that he relied on to move forward with legislation. So this irresponsibility that you, media, has put out there, this irresponsible research that you, media, put out there, the facts that indicate that the circuit attorney was responsible for Mr. Rowley being released, that the circuit attorney was responsible for not filing the paperwork. Right. Well, yesterday, media, let me tell you, that paperwork was produced to your state legislators, and you have not reported that yet. In fact, I don't even believe that you care. What you care about is reporting a story condemning our circuit attorney. We have legislation that's been moved forward that says, fire them all. My question is, who are them all? It implies that you are going after the black leadership, and it won't be tolerated. Thank you.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will be Willie Boyd, who represents in mass incarceration. Willie Boyd.
Yes, my name is Willie Boyd. I'm also a member of the Community Justice Coalition, and I was one of those members that was at the Capitol yesterday to testify to oppose the Bill 301 that attacks Kim's jurisdiction to do a job. Now, the media has spun the narrative that Kim is responsible for crime. But nobody addresses the fact that the police department is down 1,000 police officers. We see every day people running down the streets in vehicles going 70 and 80 miles an hour. Right. No tags on their cars, permits expired, and people getting killed and maimed. Now, when is the police being held accountable? It used to be a time the chief of police was called to the carpet when crime ran rampant.
Yes, it did.
Now it's the prosecuting attorney because she's black. She's two-time elected official. It's all about race. Now when Kimberly Gardner put 28 police officers on the exclusion list for corruption, the union went after her. When she put 22 police officers on the exclusion list for posting racial content on Facebook, the media went after her. But those are the facts. We got to talk about the facts. Now, we presented a receipt that the prosecuting attorney presented evidence that they went forward to have Riley taken off the streets, to revoke his bond. Ain't nobody talking about that. They talked about we was at the Senate to protest yesterday, but nobody talked about the receipts. Nobody talk about that was an order presented to the Senate, to Nick Schroeder. Nobody talks about that. Why? Because they want to spin a false narrative. We're tired of it. Racism exists in St. Louis and in the state of Missouri, and that's a fact.
All right. Who's next?
Jay.
Excuse me.
FCC is the only answer.
All right. Our next presenter is Jay Ozier, who is the chairperson or president of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, Jay Ozier.
Again, my name is Jay Ozier with the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, the St. Louis chapter president. Some of the Missouri state elected officials are hell-bent on disenfranchising the voters of the city of St. Louis. Those elected officials have had a relentless attack upon our duly elected circuit attorney of the city of St. Louis, as she is the best circuit attorney that this city has had in its 200-year history.
That's right. That's right.
At the state senate hearing yesterday, a state representative sponsored the bill to disenfranchise the voters and to circumvent the authority of our circuit attorney, stated in public record that he did not take race or sex into account in writing the bill. The demographics are there. Half of the citizens of the city of St. Louis are women. Half of the city of St. Louis is people of African American descent. And you did not take that demographic into effect, and she is the first African American woman elected as a circuit attorney. Ms. Gardner single-handedly forced a corrupt governor to resign because she believes that no one is above the law. Our circuit attorney worked diligently to get rogue police off the streets that has terrorized and traumatized our communities. These opponents of the city of St. Louis and our circuit clerk falsely claim she's letting criminals out on the streets, when it is the judge's responsibility, not the circuit attorney. Only a judge can release or hold someone in custody. Our circuit attorney was the first in the state of Missouri to refuse to charge individuals with 10 grams or less of marijuana. Now it's state law. You can purchase marijuana legally. Our circuit attorney has instituted a program for first-time low-level offenders to get rehabilitated, get job readiness and assistance so that they can become productive citizens in our city. Ms. Gardner recently, through her due diligence, was able to get Lamar Johnson, an innocent man who had been incarcerated for 27 years, released from prison, while the state attorney general would have let Mr. Johnson rot and die in jail. these same forces that is working against our circuit attorney, I've got to cut it short, to say that they have not spoken once out about the starvation wages that many of the people in the city of St. Louis have to raise the minimum wage in the state. They have not. They have not stood up for affordable health care for Missourians who are vulnerable. And they claim us to blame. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now, for the remaining speakers, we do have on hand our press statement, our official statement from the Community Justice Coalition, and we want to thank Brother Wale Amusa for helping to draft the statement. And this is the exact statement. Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner did nothing wrong. Stand with her. We support her. There are 114 elected prosecutors in the state of Missouri. Kimberly Gardner is the only black female circuit attorney elected in the state of Missouri. She was elected by the voters of the city of St. Louis in 2016 and re-elected in 2020, and overwhelmingly with over 69% of the vote total. The rich and the powerful in Missouri and the St. Louis Police Association have been relentless in their efforts to remove Kim Gardner from office. The mainstream media has been complicit. Their efforts to defeat her at the polls failed. She was reelected, as I mentioned earlier, in 2020 by nearly 70% of the votes the voters who voted. Efforts to destroy her law license and automatically force her out of office also failed. Now her distractors see an opportunity to use the unfortunate accident involving young Miss Janae Edmondson to broaden their historical assault on Gardner. Conveniently, actual facts have been ignored. We all know that prosecutors do not impose or revoke bond of an accused individual. Only judges do. In this particular instance, Judge Brian Hadenbach knew that Daniel Riley, the accused driver, had violated his bond more than 50 times. Kim Gardner's office requested that Daniel Riley's bond to be revoked. The last request for bond revocation was made in January 2023. The judge never responded. Perhaps the most compelling truth is this. The attorney, Terry Niehoff, the attorney who represented Daniel Riley on the robbery case, stated in the St. Louis Criminal Justice blog that was quoted extensively in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch on February 23, 2023, that Kim Gardner did nothing. Just as a refresher, did nothing
Wrong.
Did nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong. Repeat it.
Did nothing wrong. And this is his statement.
Nothing wrong.
Gardner's
Nothing wrong.
Let me read her
Nothing wrong.
statement. Gardner's office did, in fact, y'all hear that? This is from Riley's attorney. Gardner's office did, in fact, bring to the court's attention Riley's numerous bond violations. The prevailing sentiments that's being reported is that this accident could have been avoided if only the circuit attorney's office had done their job properly and filed a motion to revoke Riley's bond. But that's simply not true. I want to reemphasize, that's from the attorney representing Riley. In this particular case, when people are saying Gardner's office should have filed motions to have the bond revoked, her office did bring that up to the judge. I know, speaking of the attorney, I know because I was the lawyer on the case. I know it was reviewed by the judge. I know the judge, after reviewing all of it, decided that the violation, although numerous, were not serious enough to take him off bond. They could have filed motions every day. It wouldn't have made any difference. That should have been the end of the story.
Yes, should have been.
As well as there is a call. We're putting out a call that judge need to be removed. That judge need to be taken off the bench for causing all of what is taking place.
He caused the murder.
No one.
What's the judge's name?
No, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Okay. No one has called for the resignation of Judge Brian Heidenbach,
Why?
who knew Riley violated his bond more than 50 times, but repeatedly refused to revoke Riley's bond. These are the facts. Let me emphasize, these are the facts.
Yes, sir.
But the hysteria continues unabated. The Missouri General Assembly, who opposed the release of falsely imprisoned Lamar Johnson, get that. He opposed the release of Lamar Johnson, who spent 28 years in prison, convicted falsely.
Only a racist would do something like that.
Has now filed a quote Wanto lawsuit to remove Kim Gardner, even though Kim Gardner did her job as required by law. The governor of Missouri, who refuses to support Democrats in their struggle to take guns off the streets of the hands of juveniles, has expressed his readiness to work with St. Louis City Mayor to remove Kim Gardner from office. Governor Parsons wants to use black people and others to nullify the gains made by black people and their allies. Jason Hall, CEO of Greater St. Louis Incorporated, joined the fray with reckless statements about unforgivable failures of Kim Gardner in regard to the Janae Edmondson trial. Even Bill McClellan, St. Louis Post-Dispatch sage, resorted to scurrilous journalism, smearing Kim Gardner in order to lead the hysterical atmosphere of guilt where there is none. Which also, don't we supposed to be innocent until proven guilty?
Only if you black. Only if you white.
Alderman Michael Grass, a lawyer who should know better, has even called for Kim Gardner's resignation based on a totally false presumption of guilt. All these people, y'all hear me? All of the people owe Kim Gardner public apologies.
Public.
Our city, like other cities across the country, is facing major voting rights issues. The right to vote includes the right to be voted for. It also includes the right to fully exercise the authority and discretion associated with the office a person is elected to. I want to emphasize this. St. Louis voters elected a circuit attorney who believes that no one is above the law. The relentless vilification of Gardner is an attempt to nullify the votes and voices of the people. Missouri Attorney General, who was not elected, let me emphasize that too. The current Missouri General is appointed and is not elected.
No, he's not elected.
Cares nothing about violating the voting rights of the citizens of St. Louis who overwhelmingly voted to elect Kim Gardner in 2020. And let me just make an addition here, and I'm almost done with the statement. This kind of reminds me of that historical court decision called Dred Scott, where they said that the rights of black people were not to be respected. In essence, they're saying the rights of the voters here in the city of St. Louis, which is predominantly black, are not to be respected. Shame on them. Across the country, African-American female prosecutors are under attack, and it's just not here in St. Louis. It is imperative that black and progressive leaders, many of whom we have supported, not lend a hand in tightening the noose around the neck of Missouri's strongest advocate for criminal justice reform. We need unity based on justice in the St. Louis region. We urge St. Louis political, religious, and business leaders to extend grace to one another, especially to Kim Gardner. Yes, and this is the final paragraph. Yes, we urge you to get the facts first and avoid being stampeded by those who cared nothing about the lives of black people in the state of Missouri. Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner has not, that's what I emphasize, has not lost the trust of the community. Has not lost the trust of the community. She is a victim of the most vicious, coordinated, and unprecedented attacks on an elected official in the history of St. Louis. It's a malicious campaign designed to malign her name, character, and destroy her record of achievement. The St. Louis Community Justice Coalition stands with Kim Gardner and her criminal justice reform agenda. No justice,
No peace.
no justice,
No peace.
So on that note, we will now hear from Wale Amusa, who chairs the Campaign for Human Dignity.
Good morning. Good morning. I am here today to make a very simple case. The Attorney General of the United States, the topmost lawyer in the country, cannot revoke or impose a bond on anybody. He has to go into a federal court before a judge who has the sole authority to impose or revoke a bond.
It's law. It's law.
That is the United States Constitution and law. Attorney General Matthew Bailey or Andrew Bailey cannot impose or revoke anybody's bond in the state of Missouri. He has to go to court, state, county court, before a judge that has the authority, the sole authority by law to revoke or impose a bond. There is no lawyer in the state of Missouri, in any of the 114 counties. There are 114 county prosecutors in the state of Missouri. None of them can revoke any individual's bond or impose a bond. Kim Gardner, elected by the people, cannot. In fact, she wanted to. She went before the judge and asked the judge to revoke the bond of the accused. The question that I have for you today is a very simple one. You have sitting here a negligent, an unprofessional, a man who does not deserve to be on the bench. You have a judge, according to Attorney General Bailey, he said that the accused violated his bond not 50 times, not 60 times, 92 times. Why do we have a judge sitting in this building today and you are here trying to impeach and force the resignation of the circuit attorney who was elected by the people? What we are asking you today, take your camera, take your notebook, go right here to Judge Hettenberg's office and ask him to tell you why 114 times, or rather, why 92 times, he knew that this man had violated his bond and he refused to revoke his bond.
What they got going on?
Finally, I want to say this. Excuse me.
Stop the legal lynching.
Finally, I want to say this. Missouri consists of a lot of very decent human beings. Black, white, and brown. This is not a black and white issue. This is a justice issue. I remember in the old days, Judge Hettenberg is acting like in the old days when there is a lynch party and a black man is being lynched. He's acting like one of those spectators in the audience who is laughing and enjoying the lynching of a black man. What we have here today is a judge who is hiding, smiling, while the circuit attorney of the city of St. Louis is being lynched for the errors and the wrong judgment that he made. He was the one responsible for not revoking the bond. He is the one responsible for Janae Edmondson losing her legs. Let us be clear. Let us be clear. The judge who refused to revoke the bond is responsible for the loss of the young woman's leg. So let us be truthful here. Leave Kim Gardner alone. Leave Kim Gardner alone. I want you to know this. I want you to know this. I want you to know this. We will not rest until Judge Hettenberger resigns.
There you go.
We will not rest until such a careless, cowardly, and unprofessional judge is no longer on the bench. So we are calling today for Judge Getting, whatever his name is, we are calling on him to resign. He is a danger to the residents of the city of St. Louis. Thank you very much.
That's right.
All right, on that note, I think those who have been designated to speak have spoken. At this time, we are opening it up for questions from the press.
But why do you think that people, including the mayor of St. Louis, have raised questions about Kim in the wake of this? Is this a coordinated attack on her? What are your thoughts about why this continues to happen?
You want the truth?
Okay. All right. We'll let Wale respond.
We will address it this way.
We don't know. I'm sorry.
You had to talk to her.
There are many people in our city, in our state, and in our country who deeply sympathize with the tragedy of a young lady, 17-year-old, losing her legs. An athlete losing her legs. And there was a rush, a hysterical rush, to blame somebody that they have always wanted to get rid of. And some of our people, including some very good people, black and white, rushed to judgment. And they blamed the circuit attorney who had repeatedly requested that the gentleman, the guy who was involved in the accident, that his bond be revoked. Now we know better. And what we are doing now is this. There is nothing wrong with making a mistake. We believe all these people who rush to judgment made a mistake. And I'll tell you this, only the dead or those who don't do anything don't make mistakes. So it is not about the mistakes. We are calling on all of them to step out and step up. Step out and step up. Defend a lady who is innocent.
Right.
Kim Gardner is innocent.
Yes, she is.
She does not have the power or the authority to revoke or change anybody's bond.
All right. Hopefully they answer your question. Anybody else from the press?
Why do you think that the people, the narrative is out that people are turning against Kim? Who's perpetrating that narrative?
Well, let me just say this first in my response. We have to understand that the influence of the media is all powerful.
Yes.
And many times people accept what is said through the media as the truth. As Wale had made mention, there was a tremendous rush to judgment. And to that end, we're calling upon those, especially those who are elected, who have made that statement, to apologize in the wake of the information that we have shared today. So to that end, That's well in the press, of course, as you know, the sheriff, current elected sheriff, one of the state representatives, as well as Aldrich, as well as the mayor. So, well, I mean that's on record. But we are outraged enough to reach out to her and say, apologize, and then come back into the fold. That's all we asking. But again, okay, yes, ma'am. But again, we understand that this is a systematic attack against Kim Gardner based on several facts that have already been mentioned. One is she had the audacity to go after the governor of the state of Missouri, Eric Greitens. She had the audacity to say that we're going to clean up this system out of her courtroom by putting together an exclusive list of those officers who have a proven history of lying. And we all know that many officers in our community, a number of them, shall I say, are dishonest and not working as servants of the people.
No, they not.
The other and the final thing, because we know statistically, not just here in St. Louis, but across America, black people are disproportionately incarcerated. In fact, we always say there's a school to prison pipeline. Yeah. She's trying to prevent that, and she offered, instead of first time non-violent, that emphasize that, non-violent offenders be sent to jail and they be provided alternative punishment, sentencing and what have you. So I hope I answered that question. Okay, Jay, wait a minute before we do.
I'm with the African American Voice newspaper.
Okay.
Why do you feel like they're harassing her, and why do you feel like there's retaliation?
It's very
against
simple.
her?
Let me address that.
All right.
No. This is not personal. Let me put it this way.
Can you move in front of the mic? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Let me put it this way.
All right.
What we are dealing with in this country, my brothers and sisters, we have a society where we have normalized racism. We have a society where we have normalized white privilege. Just last month, a prosecuting attorney was elected in Jackson, Mississippi. And in order to prevent this black elected person to become the prosecutor in the city, the legislature in Mississippi went and proposed that the city be divided into two. One part half and the other part, black. And that each one of those halves elect their own particular, prosecuting attorneys. Missouri was a slave state, brothers and sisters.
Yes, it was.
They used to breed black people for the slave market right here in this state.
Right there, that's quarter.
What we are dealing with today are the continuation of the devaluation of the rights of black people. Let me put it this way. In this country, the most powerful position in the law is not the mayor's office. It is not the comptroller's office. It is the prosecuting attorney's office. That is the person that can decide whether you are charged or not charged, whether you go for a week probation or 20 years in jail. That is the person that brings the charges or uses her discretion, like every prosecuting attorney has done in the history of St. Louis. They use their discretion on what they're going to charge and what they're not going to charge. The problem is, in this country, nobody extends any grace to black people. Nobody extends any grace, especially to black women.
That's right.
All right,
What he says. That's right.
And that is what we're dealing with. It's not because it could be anybody else that is not Kim Gardner, that is a black person, a black woman that wants a criminal justice reform. And she will suffer the same thing because the powers that be do not want a woman who believes that the governor is not above the law and who wants to get rid of her. So that is why we have the situation here. It's not black or white. It's the fact that the system is programmed to reserve power and authority only to white men.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday, the governor said he was going to work with the mayor to appoint a white man.
They working together.
She's already convicted? Are you saying she's already convicted? Are you saying she's already convicted?
All right. One other point. We have a short comment from a former police officer from University City, Sister Carol Jackson.
Come on. Take your time.
I just want to say something in regards to the media. So the things that you've heard today, we will be expecting a correction in all the media outlets that have put out false information. Many of us were in Jeff City yesterday in opposition to House Bill 301 in reference to Kim Gardner. The chairman of the Missouri Senate Judiciary Committee told the entire room that he gets his information from the media. And the newspapers and everything he's seen has reported that she is a liar. They could not find any proof that she sought to revoke and sought the judge to have the revocation of the bond. And we sat there, and even some of the judiciary members were calling her a liar, said, if you can find it, I haven't been able to find it. I've been an attorney. I can't find it. Please show me. And we brought the proof.
They brought it in.
We brought the proof, the receipt. And so we expect, just like it came out in the wrong way, we expect a correction to the truth. And that's all we're asking, just for the truth. Thank you.
All right, we'll accept one more question, and then we're done. Yes, ma'am.
This is obviously understaffed, attorneys are overwhelmed, violent felony cases. What do you all attribute that understaffing to?
What is that?
What do we contribute the unstaffing of her office?
Okay.
Part of, let me just one. From my observation, you have to look at those who have resigned. And as my minister in the back says, white flight. You know, in America, historically, it's been a problem for white people actually to be governed by black people. That's a fact. And it is our opinion that that's part of the problem. All right.
Yeah, it's all over the country.
The other problem is this.
It's all over the country.
The other problem is this, and people will not talk about this. All across the country, there are backlogs in the judicial system. Not because we have bad people administering the judicial system all over the country, because we had a global pandemic that went for almost 3 years, that shut down every aspect of government, administrative, business, and otherwise. So now we want to blame Kim Gardner for the backlogs that exist, as if Missouri was exempt from the pandemic.
What you just said.
You know, we want to blame Kim Gardner for the flight of people that have left her office, as if those individuals do not have the right to leave. We want to blame Kim Gardner for inheriting an antiquated administrative system where the computer system barely worked. We want to blame her for everything, because guess what? As a black woman, she is guilty until she is proven innocent.
All right.
As a black woman, she is incompetent until she is proven otherwise. So what we are saying is this: there are no more problems in the Circuit Attorney's office that you will find in any major, urban, judicial system across this country. What we are calling for is to give Kim Gardner the space that she needs, provide the resources, instead of appointing, 15 special prosecutors and spending $30 million on them, give the $30 million to Kim Gardner.
All right. There you go.
All right.
That's what we talking
All
about.
right. Okay. All right. On that note, one quick follow-up.
Can you have speakers stand up and spell their names so that we have it all on the record?
All right. Wale, you start with
For
you.
efficiency purposes?
Okay, it's W-A-L-L-E. Last name is A-M-U-S-A.
All right. Jay, give your name for the proof.
J-A-Y, Ozier, O-Z-I-E-R, C-B-T-U.
All right. Amir.
Amir Brandy, A-M-I-R, B-R-A-N-D-Y.
Willie Boyd.
Willie?
Willie Boyd, W-I-L-L-I-E-B-O-Y-D.
And then we got Carol Jackson.
CarolJackson.
And my ZAKIBARUTI. Again, we want to thank the press. We hope that you have taken to heart what we are saying. As you can see, everyone here represents a form of the movement in our community. Also on hand, I don't know if she's still here, was one of the representatives from our Congresswoman's office, Cori Bush. And we are united to prevent and put an end to the attack on the Circuit Attorney's office. All right, on that note, again, thank you to the press.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.